Toongrin.
Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here, and welcome to Cartoon Corner, the show hosted by me, Jambareeqi. And let me introduce you to my willing and enthusiastic co-hosts, Vanilla, Smolder, Obnoxious, and Puppet.
I kinda like when you tie me up, Jambareeqi. Jambareeqi! Here on Cartoon Corner. God, what the absolute hell, man? Who ties people up like that? Geez, no wonder you don't do crossovers often.
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm kind of new to this collaborating with reviewers thing.
It shows.
Hey, some people find sociopathic British people to be charming.
Not me. What are we even reviewing anyways?
Well, do you remember Tiny Robots?
No.
I do. Nothing happened. It was 45 minutes long, and nothing happened.
Earth the Jambareeqi, what about Tiny Robots?
Oh yeah, what if I told you that Gladiformers made another animated robot movie?
I'd ask you to lock me in the closet again and lock it tight.
Well, I'm sorry, it exists and it's called Gladiformers.
Oh dear, Toyland Video aka Video Brinkundo is at it again. This time not ripping off Wall-E, but Transformers. Because no one has ripped off Transformers before. Oh, the originality. Is this 2007 Video Brinkundo title worse than Tiny Robots?
I, for one, don't think anything can be worse than Tiny Robots. It's the worst movie I've ever seen.
Worse than Where the Dead Go to Die?
Yep.
Worse than Normal the North?
Tiny Robots is the only movie I've ever given 0 out of 5 to. There is no way Gladiformers can top that.
Let's just dive in and see how much this is gonna hurt. This is Gladiformers.
This cover actually looks pretty promising to me. Notice how majestic and noble the robot looks. It seems to give the impression that the movie is possibly going to be something impressively grandiose.
You know that's how mockbuster covers are supposed to work, right? Look presentable enough to mislead dim-witted shoppers to buying them. Just because a cover looks presentable doesn't mean it'll be good. Especially in Video Brinkundo's case. But if the box art doesn't pull you in, why not start your movie with some brain-numbing heavy metal? And that's coupled with sweeping close-up shots of the Transformer knockoffs. Video Brinkundo must be proud they made models that weren't complete ass from the get-go. But why focus in so deep to show every single imperfection on them?
What bothers me is how the camera just keeps moving relentlessly, darting between various angles of cars. It's like if Tasmanian Devil took over the camera of a Top Gear episode.
You think the filmmakers knew they had next to no movement in this flick? So they substitute that by sweeping the camera around. All this really shows is that clearly there was no real skill put on this project. The end result is more obnoxious and dizzying than entertaining or engaging. But on to the most important part, the story. There isn't any.
As soon as the movie begins, we are randomly thrown into a dystopian robot battle tournament, We are given nothing to ease us into the film's world. We don't have any idea who is the hero, the villain, or even what in the world is going on. There's no build-up, no development, and no opening context.
On the plus side, Elle from Death Note is hosting the tournament.
One of these Gladiformers is Kiro. Let's make them fight to the death to find out which one. For justice.
Jokes aside, these shady gentlemen hiding behind fancy font are actually, humans. PlayStation 1 villains. Serial mascots. I have no bloody clue. Whyboy, who are these people?
They are the big, ominous voices, I guess, who pit the Gladiformers into grandiose death matches, using them as slaves to fight to the death and make money for entertainment.
So, it's Hunger Games with robots.
That was probably the pitch for the movie, but at least we got these astounding names for our main characters, like Julius Drive, Magnum Tutor, Dante Lotus, Morajate, Kojo Displo, Patreon Tokal, Marta Gorted, and Project A.
I'll admit the Transformers had some pretty cool, iconic and catchy names, like Optimus Prime and Megatron. Yet here, it's like the writers just smashed their heads against the keyboard and stuck to whatever they could accidentally spell out.
Well, let's see how round 1 of the tournament plays out. It's Magnum PI versus Toilet Log, and it's a fight that you'll soon forget.
I don't know, the animation is so awkwardly handled and poorly timed that I find it kind of hilarious. It's like we're watching Optimus Prime fighting Megatron after they've had too many beers.
The filmmakers try to make up for the lack of riveting action by throwing in melodramatic flashbacks, which is kinda hard to digest and appreciate when we have no emotional connection to these pieces of scrap metal.
The gratitude I have for you, Julius Drive, is boundless. I wouldn't be here or anywhere else if it wasn't for your help. I'll never stop dedicating my life to save yours. I couldn't stop Magnum Tutor's ambush, but I can get you out of here so that you can avoid having to be in this tournament.
Like we said, the film throws us in the deep end and says, well, sink or swim. They expect us to be invested in what's happening when there's little to no context. These are characters that we've just met, so this flashback is about as moving and convincing as an X-Factor sob story.
So the first match's story can be boiled down to Toilet Log wanted to screw over Magnum PI by throwing him in the tournament, and now Magnum PI can screw over Toilet Log.
No.
And this is literally the whole movie. Set pieces of fighting between two barely finished character models, and that's it.
Well, there is also the repeat flashbacks of context.
Right, basically someone took storyboard scenes and then just talked over stills to build some sort of lore for this franchise. It's amazing that Transformers, whose entire show is predicated on the point of just selling toys to kids, is still better handled than this. Heck, I would actually say that Michael Bay managed to make robots fighting more entertaining than this. I just complimented Michael Bay. Thank you, Video Brinquido! Let's hope that round 2 is a little bit more exciting.
It's Banana Slammer versus Willy Wally Dingaling, and it's a battle that's about as engaging as stepping on a Lego.
And it's about as painful. One of the major issues with this film is that there's more monologuing and expositing than action or adventure. Seriously, most of this round is made up of characters yammering on about experiments and simulations.
This whole movie feels like an unfinished render of a simulation.
Project 1, fight! You'll have to kill me!
Yeah, it really speaks volumes to your script writing when you have your own character screaming to get out of the film as fast as possible.
I am ready!
Let's just skip to round 3.
In this round, Julius Caesar faces what can only be described as a transformer with a cheese grater for a face. Gentleman's Primo, everyone. You know, G1 Transformers may have been boxy in their designs, but they were at least still recognizable for fans to tell them apart. These designs are just such a hodgepodge of polygons, you'd be lucky to tell an elbow from a head.
The fights are even worse, with Chedimus curve-stomping Julius, but Julius calls for peace with the Gladiformers captors to fight for their release. Maybe this will lead to something interesting and a change of pace. I jest. It just leads to Julius being stabbed in the back by Chedimus Prime, a reference to Roman history that's actually less subtle than Carry On Cleo.
Treachery! Infamy! Infamy! They've all got it in for me!
What's Carry On Cleo?
So, after Chedimus gets fried for being dishonorable in this slave deathmatch tournament, seriously, round 4 is next and it's Petrol Sniffer versus Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
You know what? Our made-up names are way better than their actual names! And they're goofy as hell! In this fight, Supercali gets his robo-ass handed to him by Petrol Sniffer until he calls upon kilotons worth of power from Magnum PI. What does that really mean? Not sure, but it does seem to make things more powerful.
Behold! 2,000 kilotons of power!
2,500 kilotons of power!
2,500 kilotons! 3,000 kilotons of power!
5,000 kilotons of power!
It's over 9,000!
But Magnum PI doesn't quite fancy getting his power sucked out by his robo-slave, so he sucks it back and Petrol Sniffer Tom Sellecks his ass.
Up next is round 5, which feels more like round 10. Seriously, the film drags on that much.
This round features Petrol Sniffer versus Julius Caesar, who surprisingly survived the backstabbing. More conveniently, said backstabbing has raised his power and strength, because that's how body injuries work.
Yes, it's true. I should be dead by now, but I feel stronger.
What part of your brain made you think that was a smart thing to do?
The part that made me reveal Gladiformers in the first place.
Well, Julius's magical stab victim power shockingly gives him the upper hand, leading to the end of Petrol Sniffer.
No!
It's the semi-finale next, which features the grand and majestic conflict between Banana Slammer and Magnum PI.
You'll never rule by selling Julius Drive into the Centaurus arena!
How dare you say something like that? If it wasn't for Dante Logus, I'd be on the throne now!
It's true, but sitting on the Regent's throne is no guarantee of eternal permanence. You've been fooled very easily by Dante Logus.
It's strange how there is this constant bombardment of backstory and world building in a movie that completely ignores backstory and world building.
The talking thankfully stops as Magnum PI shuts Banana Slammer's hole permanently.
And then finally we come to the last battle in the movie, Julius Caesar versus Magnum PI. But unfortunately, it's mainly made up of more talking and talking and talking. Oh, and some camera swipes.
Forget our past, Magnum Tutor. One of us will win, but the lucky one will be dead in the arena. The one who lives will be the eternal slave of the Supreme Bots.
I know what life expects from me until the end of times, Julius Drive!
No, you won't know.
You're a waste of metal.
Can somebody just kill somebody? Can somebody just kill another robot? I've never seen a children's movie make me so bloodthirsty before.
Indeed, so let's have at it. What amazing balls-to-the-wall action will this climax have to offer?
Sadly, the finale is just more drunken ballet performed by bootleg Transformers.
You mean the GoBots?
Nero, go home.
Oh, fine. I don't even want to sit here doing this piece of crap anyways.
It's like the animators are just prodding the character models and hoping that at least one frame of movement illustrates a fight move of some kind.
And we end finally on a whimper, as Julius doesn't even get the final kill, as Magnum PI sort of just has a power failure and dies. And the movie concludes with him winning the position of being a slave forever. The end.
So, that was Gladiformers.
That was Gladiformers. Some seriously boring crap. But hell, let's have some pros and cons anyways. Take it away, Jamboy.
The pros? Oh, this is a tough one. Well, the fights are kind of funny. I mean, I'll admit that the battle sequences are unintentionally hilarious, because they're animated so poorly. But even then, you can't enjoy the failure of fight choreography because most of the movie is either stills, sweeping cameras, and models of vehicles. There's some sort of backstory, but the movie never plants its feet and does anything with it.
As for the cons, which is a much easier list to write out. Like Jambareeqi said, the fight scenes may be entertainingly bad, but that novelty is hard to come by and wears off quick. Most of the time, the character animation has nothing to work with, resulting in generic gestures and zero expressions. There is constant monologues and exposition to make up for the lack of animation, and it really shows. There's not a single character in this movie. Nothing's really established to make Julius a major character or Magnum a villain, so there isn't even a story at this point, but just set pieces of unfinished CGI bouncing together. And above all else, the movie is just boring. This is quite honestly going to be the last Video Brincundo topic I ever review on Cartoon Corner. Unlike with a lot of other schlock flicks I've covered, Video Brincundo movies, while also being so inept in that it's pathetic yet funny sort of way, are just too easy. There's nothing that I could say about Gladiformers that you couldn't say about The Little Panda Fighter, Tiny Robots, or any of the other movies. Mockbuster, lack of quality, nuggets of quasi-competent ideas buried under incompetency. It's a studio that skates by on half-assing it, and reviewing these movies has become just pointless.
But let's answer our original question. Is Gladiformers worse than Tiny Robots?
Yes, it is. It's so much harder to sit through.
I disagree. At least Gladiformers has unintentionally funny fights.
That's funny, Jambareeqi, but you're wrong.
Oh yeah? Let's settle this like grown men.
I think we must.
It's the final round of the reviewer battle tournament with Whyboy versus Jambareeqi. The bets are in. Let the fight begin.
Yeah, this is the reason why reviewers should not do crossovers. Oh. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this review of Gladiformers. If you want to see more adventures of reviewing with me and Jambareeqi, you can head over to his channel where we're reviewing Barney's Great Adventure for his series Puppet Panic. Click the link on screen or in the description below to find that. And as always, the best way to support Toon Grin and Cartoon Corner is by putting a like, subscribing, and if you want to, support our TeePublic shirt shop. Well, until next time folks, tune in to Toon Grin.